Sorry. Sorry. Okay, good evening and welcome to our chapter meeting tonight. And the topic tonight is Nova Scotia Certified Peer Support Specialist Program, new to Canada. We're the first. And I have Roy Muise, who is the peer support specialist and peer support mentor, and he coordinates the certified program. And Roy's here to tell us all about it, where we are, and where we're going with it. So thank you, Roy.
Okay.
Take over.
Well, to begin with, I just want to thank everybody for allowing me to be here today, or this evening, I should say. You almost didn't have me because I wrote it down for tomorrow, but luckily I got a phone call today just to remind me, so I'm here and ready to go. So, as Donna said, I thought what I would do today would be talk a little bit about what peer support is, a little bit about the program and its development and what our mandate actually is around the province, and then give you an update on where we are now and where we still have to go and everything, and then we'll be open to questions. And for people who are in the room, I don't mind if you have a question while I'm talking, just wave your hand, throw something at me, whatever it is you have to do to get my attention, and we can certainly answer some questions too as we're going through it.
Yeah, we're going to save about the last 10 minutes for any questions from, what do you call that?
Online.
Online.
Right,
so,
online. Okay.
and I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Donna Metcalf with the HRM Chapter.
Very good.
Okay, go ahead,
Okay.
Roy.
So, what is peer support? Well, the definition that we are actually using, and there's several definitions out there, and they're all very, very similar, but the one that we're actually using is that peer support is the act of people who have had similar experiences with mental health problems or illnesses, giving each other encouragement, hope, assistance, guidance, and understanding that aids in recovery. It can be done anytime or anywhere when two or more peers are in a mutual supportive relationship. And we often talk, when we're talking about peer support, sort of putting it into three main categories. The first one being just natural peer support. And that's been happening ever since humans have been able to communicate to each other. Supporting each other and everything is a very natural thing, and it's also a very nice thing if you happen to be able to observe it sometime when it is actually happening. Then we have the groups, whether you call them support groups, self-help groups, groups where peers get together and support each other through a group. Groups themselves have been around for over 80 years now. Probably the first and certainly best known self-help group in North America would be AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. And I believe that started in 1935, if I remember correctly. So groups have been around for a long time and have proven to be very effective. But in 2001, Sherry Mead, who is a strong supporter of both peer support and recovery in the United States, she's sort of one of my heroes, she coined the phrase intentional peer support. And this refers to one-on-one peer support, which is offered in a formal setting, whether it be part of the healthcare system, or in a community organization, or just out in community, period. I always like to say that there's probably more peer support happening at Tim Hortons than any other particular venue out in the community. The peer support worker is specially trained and is hired to offer this support or this service. This is the type of peer support that we are doing with the Nova Scotia Certified Peer Support Specialist Program as part of our mandate. It's based on a relationship in which each person is considered equal and self-determination is highly respected. Peer support is focused on health and recovery rather than on illness and disability. We, in, I get my years right here, 2012, as many of you may know, the province of Nova Scotia brought down a mental health and addiction strategy for the province of Nova Scotia. One of the things that were in that strategy was peer support and the creation of a province-wide peer support program. Our mandate is to be in each of the 9 health districts in the province, plus the IWK. Now I realize that there are going to be some changes around health districts and things like that in the future. So we're more talking now as geographical regions. But we will be covering the entire province. The program is funded by the government of Nova Scotia through the Department of Health and Wellness. And as Donna mentioned, we are the first province in all of Canada to have a government-funded province-wide peer support program. Now, there are peer support programs that are happening in other parts of the country. Some of them are quite localized. Others, cover a fair area of the province. But Nova Scotia, right now, we're #1 when it comes to peer support. We're the first in the country. And as I often say, and sometimes I remember too and think, oh, I wish it wasn't this way, but the eyes of Canada are on Nova Scotia when it comes to peer support right now. But it's pretty exciting. So anyway, we have been, like I say, given a mandate to bring peer support throughout the province. We have been asked to, what we are going to do is create one full-time equivalent position in each of the 9 health districts, plus the IWK. Plus we have funding for 4 other full-time equivalent positions. Now, a lot of those positions will actually be filled by 2 peers, each working part-time. We want to get as many people out there working. We also want to get people in the peer supporters. We want to be able to create sort of an atmosphere where they have a lot of support. One of the things that I learned when I started doing peer support myself back in 2001 was who supports the peer supporter. And as part of this program, we're actually building in some supports, and I'll talk about that in just a few minutes. But so we are working at getting the peers hired throughout the province. The program itself is administered by the Healthy Minds Cooperative here in Halifax. The Healthy Minds Cooperative was created in 2005, I think. I believe it was 2005. And they have many programs working with people with mental health issues. So they are administering the program. So far it seems to be working quite well and everything. And we have created our own training for peer supporters. Our training is based on training from the states, but it's training that is considered among the top training out there. It was created by an organization known as Appalachian Consulting, and it was actually the training that I took in 2004 down in Georgia. But we have taken the training, we've Canadianized it, we've eliminated some parts that really weren't pertinent to Canada because we're talking about two different health systems. And then we've also added some things that we thought were very important to the training. And so we have our own training program. To date, we have trained 45 potential peer supporters from all over the province. Currently, training is sort of, for want of a better term, I'm going to say it's on hold until we get some hiring done and see where people are fitting in and everything else. Because one of the things I feel is very important, and one of the things for me personally, is that I don't want to be training people just for the sake of training. If there's no opportunities out there for people, to me, the worst thing that we could be doing is training people for jobs that don't exist. Now, we do hope that over a period of time that maybe some community organizations organizations and whatnot may take it upon themselves to try to come up with some funding so that they could have a peer support worker within their program. The other thing that we are doing within the program too is that we are offering certification in peer support. We have partnered with a national certification body, PSAC Canada, which is actually Peer Support Accreditation and Certification Canada. It's a nonprofit organization. It was formed as sort of an offshoot from the peer project that the Mental Health Commission had a few years ago. There was an advisory group, it still is an advisory group, made up of 24 people, the majority of whom are living with mental health issues. We also have a few family members on the advisory committee, and they are developing and have developed a certification program for the country. So people going through our program do have that opportunity to be certified, and in fact, actually to be employed in our program, they have to either be certified or in the process of being certified. One of the reasons we felt that that was so important is because we want to make it clear right from the very start that peer support is a legitimate occupation. It's not just something about people getting together and talking or anything else like that. We have plans down the road to actually create a provincial association, and we also are in conversation with a lot of the other peer support groups around the country that in time we hope to have a national association. We all strongly believe in the value and the strength of peer support. And so with this...
Can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah.
You're talking about peer support. Is that just generic? Or
No, we're talking for mental health. Sorry, I should
I mean, is it just for schizophrenia?
No.
It's
No,
for
it's for
any
any-
mental health?
Yeah.
Well, I can talk to you.
One of the things about peer support, and I'm glad you asked that question, we do not ask someone what their diagnosis is, nor do we ask them what treatments they're having, because that's not part of what we do. We don't We don't diagnose people. We don't recommend treatments or anything else like that. We look at it from a totally different point of view. Instead of using the medical model, and we totally agree we need the medical model, but what we follow is what's known as the recovery model. And so the recovery model, we're not dealing with diagnosis and we're not dealing with treatments. So yeah, actually, it's peer support for anyone living with a mental health issue. Okay? What we have been asked or mandated to do is that we begin in areas where we're working. In time, we will hopefully have a few people working in emergency departments. We're not quite there yet because there's some special training that would need to be done. But certainly in inpatient units and outpatient units. And then we work with our peers as they're transitioning into the community, and we continue working with them when they are in the community and working towards being able to stay in the community. We may do that through community organizations, or we may just do it just in the community as a whole with the peer. Because one thing about peer support is that it is totally directed by the peer. It is not directed by the peer supporter. It is totally directed by the peer. That is where we get our guidance from as to what areas we're going to work and help our peer work with. So we're going to be working, like I say, in those kind of settings. Our main focus is on helping our peers regain control over their own lives and over their own recovery process. Part of our job is to role model competency in recovery. In other words, we need to be able to show that, okay, we are in recovery ourselves and that it's working, and also to role model ongoing coping skills and things like that. We will be working, when we're working within a hospital setting, we do not have access to patients' records, nor do we charge anything. We're not a member of the clinical team, but we are a member of the care team. But because we are employed by the program and actually employed by the Healthy Minds Cooperative, we are not really costing the health authorities anything. We're providing these people to be working there, but it doesn't come out of the health authority budget or anything like that. If there should be something come up that might require documentation, it's just a matter of the peer talking to someone on staff, but it would be the staff person who would do the documentation. So, like I say, we have that mandate to create those various positions and everything. We also are working on we're calling it a community of constant contact among the peer supporters. We're looking at all different ways that peer supporters can be in contact with each other, looking at various ways so that they can be supporting each other, but also at the same time can be sharing some of their successes, maybe also a chance to compare notes on how to deal with something in particular. We're just in the very early stages of that part of the program. We're looking at all kinds of ideas, and we'll be bringing people together to talk about it. We do know that social media or the internet in some form will play a part of it, But one of the things that I have learned too is that, I mean, I've known all along that there are parts of the province, for example, that only have dial-up internet service. There are also parts of the province that have no internet service at all. So we can't depend on only that way as a way of staying in contact. But we are going to be, looking at various ways that we can. This is why, even though we only have one full-time position, full-time equivalent position to be able to offer in a lot of the health districts, why we're probably going to split it between two people, because there's support right there, because there's two people doing the same job. We're not sure exactly how it's all going to look in the end, but one of the outcomes from that too, as I said earlier, would be creating a provincial-wide association of certified peer supporters. So that's all things that are going to happen in the future. So where are we now? Well, as I said, we have 45 people trained. Obviously, in order to do that, we have the training program in place. We have 1.8 peer supporters in Capital Health right now. They're currently both working at Simpson Landing. We may split one of them to like Simpson Landing and maybe the Abbey Lane. We don't know yet, but we're looking at that. We have a full-time person who was hired just before Christmas, who works half-time in Colchester County, Colchester East Hants, centered in the Truro area, and the other half of his time is in Cumberland County, in the Amherst area. This week we are interviewing people for a position in Yarmouth, 2 more part-time positions in Truro, 2 more part-time positions in Amherst. A call just went out. Did it go out late this afternoon? It's either going out late. It either went out late this afternoon or first thing tomorrow morning for another position that's going to be shared between the Annapolis Valley Health Authority and the hospital in Windsor, because Capital Health covers such a huge area. And even though the Windsor Hospital is part of the Capital Health Authority, most people living in the valley consider Windsor part of the valley. And it just sort of made sense to us that we'll take, maybe a 0.2 of what we have for Capital Health and center it in Windsor, and then give the person some more hours to work in the Capital area. So that call's just going out, like I say, probably tomorrow morning. And so we hope to have all of those positions filled by the end of the month. We have 3, I've completed the certification process. We have 3 others who have almost completed the certification process. We have the rest of the 45 are at various stages of completing the certification process. So that's been happening. We have also, Karen Gilmore and myself, Karen is the Executive Director of the Healthy Minds Cooperative. We've done our road trip around the province, checking for workplace readiness, that sort of thing, and introducing the program to all around the province. We've been to all the health authorities with the exception of 2 out of the 10. And with the other 2, it's just been trying to arrange a time that they're available and we're available at the same time. But we've been working with them. We've been around the province, really have been introducing the program to people, it's been really kind of exciting when we were doing that too. And so it's been very positive as we have gone around the province, so we've been happy about that. So we are slowly, rolling things out. We're trying to get it right the first time. And probably the biggest criticism I have heard personally is it's taking a while. Well, we want to get it right. And when I look back to when I actually started working on the project, which was a year ago this past November, to where we are today, I look and I think, we've gotten a lot accomplished in a little over a year. I'm one of the ones who, by the way, who's always saying, I wish we were moving faster. But now we're starting to get feedback, particularly now that the early hiring has started, that particularly within the health authorities and even among people who have started working, that we've actually been doing it the right way. Because when they've been going into starting a job or going into the workplace, everything's ready, and there's been no real difficulties as of yet. So we'll see what happens there.
I just have a question, Mark.
Yeah.
How many clients would a peer support worker be working with at any given time?
A lot of that is going to depend on the peer supporter themselves. First of all, peer support is a voluntary program as far as the peer is concerned, not the peer supporter.
Right.
They are being paid.
Mm-hmm.
The peer, it's not being referred to peer support and being expected to do it.
Mm-hmm. They have to want to.
They want, yeah.
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What we are encouraging the peer supporters is to start slow first, get used to it, but keeping a close eye on not getting themselves overwhelmed with too many people. As I have said to a lot of peer supporters, I would rather see 10 peers receiving excellent service from you than 20 peers receiving so-so service. So it is going to depend a lot on the individuals.
Oh, even 10 seems high.
Well, and certainly starting off,
Yeah.
And we recognize the fact that we are not going to be there for everybody who needs the service. It's just, it is what it is right now. We do hope that over the years we'll be able to prove just how worthwhile this is, and it's something else that we're actually doing through PSAC, because they will be collecting all kinds of information, totally anonymous, but it will be able to evaluate the program and show how successful it is and things like that. It's a brand new tool. It was developed by the Center for Disease Control in Atlanta, Georgia, University of Ottawa, and the Center for Mental Health and Addictions in Toronto, especially for peer support programs. So there's going to be all kinds of information going into that once everything is up and rolling. And the World Health Organization has actually asked that they can get the reports just to see how it's working and everything. So we're hoping that somewhere down the road we'll be able to say, hey, look how this is working, and be able to expand. But yeah, it is going to, I'm usually saying to people when they're first starting, 2 or 3, until you're feeling comfortable. And just build it up slowly. Yeah, absolutely. So, like I say, we are getting people hired now. We're happy with that. We still have a long way to go, but we also have come a long way. So we're really, really excited about where things are going. I would like to just read you a couple of little quotes. These are from people who have received peer support over a period of time, and just what they really thought about it and how it has helped them. Okay, so the first one, he didn't pressure me to talk, but when I did, he listened, really listened. He didn't judge. He accepted me just the way I was, broken. He didn't send me home with a long list of things to do to fix myself. He didn't ask anything of me. The message he had for me that first day was one that was to be a continuing message, that he was there for me, that he understood, and that he would do what he could to help me. And then the other quote, most importantly, when that spark of hope disappears, he helps me find it and encourages me to hang on to it. He has shown me it is possible to survive. So I would like maybe now just to open it up to the group here for questions, and then we'll see what questions are coming from online.
Or 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I would like to know, is there a formal way that the peers find out about this program? Is it people with their care team within the hospital or the community that let them know that this program is available? How does...
Oh, okay, so you're talking about peers in the hospital?
Yeah.
Okay,
Or in the community.
Great, great.
Need work.
Great question. Okay, so what we encourage peers to do or peer supporters to do as they first start, make themselves known in the community, let the community know what it is that they're doing, and more importantly in the hospital, to spend some time on the units, if that's where they're going to be working for a while, just getting to know the people who are there on the units, so that they already know, okay, there's Fred, he does peer support, I must talk to him about that. We do have a brochure, we're going to be doing some other things like that to promote it. What we have asked staff to do is that if they have someone who they feel might benefit by peer support, they don't refer, but they could tell the individual about the program and offer to make an introduction to the peer supporter. So that's how a lot of that will happen.
I know that with the acute care at the Nova Scotia Hospital, that they have really put together a wonderful handbook. Unfortunately, it came out the beginning of this year, so the peer support information is not in that. But maybe a supplement could be put together to shove inside the handbook so that they're aware of that.
Yeah, and we're also developing posters and things like that can go up on the units and things. The thing we are really though pushing with the peer supporters is to make themselves known on the unit. Spend some time with them. Whatever it is, whether if there's just 3 or 4 in a room watching TV, go in and watch TV with them for a little while and just strike up a conversation. So, but that would be a good idea.
So the care team, the medical team is aware of the program and wouldn't have any difficulty with somebody coming in and doing that.
Nope, not that. Nobody has indicated to us that they are would have any difficulty with it now.
And the brochure, which you'll be given up later, the brochure really can go into the patient welcoming package.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
problem, we'll just have to talk to Robert.
Yeah.
He'll see that it goes in.
You mentioned the hospital, but you've also been in contact with the outlying, the Cooperative mental health unit.
Yes.
We'll be yeah, absolutely. Just as an example too, Cumberland District Health Authority, which would be Amherst, Spring Hill, that part of the province, they don't even have a mental health unit. They don't even have a mental health bed. So everything is going to be done through the community clinic. Yeah, and everything. So yeah, no, we're getting them. We don't want to put the word out until we have some people in place, but the word will be getting out. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Are the peer support visits confidential?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have a very strict code of conduct, and confidentiality is extremely important. Yeah.
How long is the training?
The training it's 40 hours. We do it in a week. I'll tell you, it's pretty extensive by the time it's over. Plus, we have mandatory continuing education, a minimum of once a year, but we're going to be aiming for twice a year. And a lot of that will be maybe a few things, some things that aren't covered in the training. A lot of it, we hope, will be coming from the peer supporters themselves. Okay, I know, Roy, when we did the section on trauma-informed services, is there more information? Because I'm finding that one is really important. Or is there more that we can learn about this? So we're hoping that a certain amount of that continuing education will actually come from the peer supporters themselves after they started working and identifying areas that maybe they need some more help.
What are the criteria for getting into this program?
What is the criteria? You have to be diagnosed with a mental health issue, illness. And by the way, the reason I keep saying issue, illness, there's a slash in there too. We're using the language of the Mental Health Commission. But you have to have a diagnosis. You have to have had at least, to be able to show at least 1 year of recovery in your illness. And number 3, you have to be willing to share your recovery story with your peers.
One more question from Lyndon, and then we're going to go to
Yep.
online.
I was just wondering if peer support workers are associated with the early psychosis group.
Not right now, and I'm not sure. I know they're looking at something, and I don't know if we're going to be a part of it or not, but I know they're looking at something.
Okay, one more. So is there anyone else? And I have one here. Anyone else? Okay.
Now, you mentioned that Simpson Landing is at 1.8,
Yeah.
I think, and you were, one might be split from there, taken to another place?
Yeah.
Is it not needed at Simpson Landing, or they need it more somewhere else, or not utilized at Simpson Landing, or why?
No, it's being utilized, but 1.8 is probably more than what they need. We inherited, that program was already there, and we inherited it, and we actually upped the hours because neither one was working a full-time job. But even the two who are working there are saying that probably we could take some hours, like one of them may spend, say, a 0.5 at Simpson Landing and a 0.5, say, at the Abbey Lane or something like that, or a 0.5 at Cole Harbor Place, that sort of thing. Their feeling is that we would be able to do that without too much trouble. And We also have to look at it too, that we don't want it all centered in one place. Because there are so many other people who have no connection to Simpson Landing who are looking for help as well. So.
Okay, some online questions. Todd, you're going to
Okay, we have a question from Steve. Will peer supporters be keeping notes or records on peers? Not the charting, but personal notes or notes for the organization, I guess.
No. The only notes that they will be doing, and it's very, very, we don't have the final things yet, but there will be an online thing that they will be doing with each person who is not identified at all, but it will be just, particularly around outcomes and things like that.
Will there be a record of how often they've seen somebody?
They will be able to do that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, a related question, I guess. Will the peer be inputting data into the database in terms of how they feel the peer support is working for them?
The peer themselves receive.
Yes.
We're working on that, yes. That if a peer wants to be a part of that, we're going to, it'll be set up so that they can.
So they can give feedback.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Two-part question from Patrick. How do I become certified? And is there a position aimed at youth?
Okay. We're hoping that we will have a position aimed at youth. That's part of our mandate. So we're certainly looking at that. What I am doing right now, as I said, I don't know when the next training is going to take place, but I am taking names and contact information from people. And once I know when we may be doing another training, then I'll contact people at that time to get them started in that process, because there's actually an application form and there's a pre-screening test that has to be done as well.
You might want to give out your number just for the
Yeah.
online.
And I will give my, Do you want me to do it now?
Yeah.
Okay. My email address is r.muise, M-U-I-S-E, -nscpss @eastlink.ca. And my phone number, since we're supposed to be getting used to the area code as well before August, so my phone number is 902-404-3088.
We could put your brochure up online.
Absolutely.
If it's not there already, probably is there.
And I can actually send you an electronic version if you wish.
Okay.
Yeah. Just remind me.
Send Todd.
Send on. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, next question. Wouldn't a person have to have a second job to have a half-time peer supporter job?
It depends. Depends on what the individual is doing now. The rate of pay within our program is that a peer support worker who is working on their certification but hasn't received their certification yet, if they were working full-time, they earn $35,000 a year. That's the rate, and it goes up to $45,000 a year after certification. For a lot of folks who are going into peer support, or as a peer supporter, they're finding, because a lot of people have been living on social assistance, and it's much better. One of the people that we actually have employed is just ecstatic because now he is off social assistance, and he's really happy about that. Yeah.
Okay, next question. Roy had mentioned a support for peer group. What form is that going to take on? That's support for the peer supporters, I would assume.
Okay, So we're not sure yet. Like I said, we're looking at all kinds of different ideas. Obviously, or it does make sense that some sort of social media, whether it be a chat room or whatever, would probably be a part of it. But we're also hoping, say, maybe, trying to find other ways. One of the things we will be doing now that we're getting people working is maybe we'll bring some together and we'll do spend a day brainstorming on ways. And maybe what we will find is, say, for example, the peer supporters in Colchester County and the ones in Cumberland County get together once every so often. The folks in the valley and the folks on the South Shore get together every so often. We'll be bringing people, like I said, together. We're aiming for twice a year with continuing education, but part of that continuing education, because it'll be over a 2-day type thing, will be just a chance for them all to get together with each other. We're going to be looking at different ways, and we're going to be open to different ideas. And then I should mention too, right now I'm a peer mentor. We will be in time hiring a few more peer mentors. And one of the things that a peer mentor does is support the peer supporters as well.
Okay. Do the peer support individuals also take applied suicide intervention skills training and/or the mental health first aid?
We're actually working on, we'll probably be doing mental health first aid within the next year for people. It's not part of the training, nor is assist, but we're probably going to be looking at that as well as part of continuing education. What we have found is we have some people that have taken one or the other, or maybe have already taken both, and that's fine. But we're going to be, certainly with people who haven't had it, we're looking for opportunities for them to be able to take it again.
Okay. What prerequisites are required to be eligible to take the training?
As I said earlier, you must have a diagnosis of a mental health issue. You must you must have had at least a year working on your own recovery journey, and you must be willing to share your own recovery story with your peers, and also to role model your own recovery and also role model your competency in your own personal recovery.
Okay. Are the criteria for the pre-screening available?
Basically, the pre-screening, it's just a series of questions that need to be answered. It's more along why do you want to be a peer supporter, questions around what do you really think a peer supporter does, questions around working within the system, although not being part of the system, difficulties that you think you might have and how you would deal with them, that sort of question.
Okay. Is that available online for people to see?
Not at the present time, no. Okay. But we are working on a website, but it'll probably be 3 or 4 months yet.
Okay. Could a peer supporter also be a mental health first aid instructor?
Don't see why not. We have a few that are. Yeah.
Okay.
It wouldn't be part of their peer support job, but yeah.
Okay. And that's all the questions we had at this point for online. Okay.
Any last questions here?
I have a
Wendy?
question. Okay. So, what is the number of peer support people? I'm just trying to think of how to phrase it. When all the positions are filled for peer supports within the province of Nova Scotia, how many peer support positions are there?
Can't be exact, but probably between, say, 23 and 28 positions.
So at this point, you have 45 people trained.
Right.
And if all the positions were filled, there would only be between 23 and 28.
Yeah.
Now, when you say 23 to 28, does that mean those are full-time positions, and with one of those
No,
positions,
no.
there might be 2 people?
All right. We have we're funded to create a total of 14 full-time positions. So the 28 would be as if there's 2 in each position.
Okay.
Now, when you look at those other numbers too, because we have more than 28 people trained.
Yes.
Okay, so we certainly wouldn't stop training at 28 because,
No, right.
yeah, because there will be a certain number who will decide, no, this isn't for me. We had to do a training because we needed to make sure we had people from every health area.
Right.
Okay, so those are some of the things. A few people have already been offered jobs from community organizations in different parts of the province, and they're really considering taking those jobs, which is good. We have a few people who, they would like to. I've had a couple of people actually who have just sort of said to me, I'd like to get my certification and just sort of be there in the background, Roy, and then if somebody was sick for 2 or 3 months, I could fill in or something like that, and we would be open to that. Yeah, so it's going to take us a little while to get it all sorted out.
And do you feel at this point that 14 full-time positions is an adequate number?
No.
No. So what would you think would be a more realistic number so that, all the people who want it would be covered to have it?
Lots more.
Somewhere between 100, 150, probably even more than that.
Yeah.
Am I happy that we have 14 positions?
Yes.
I am ecstatic that we have 14 positions, full-time equivalent positions. I want to make that clear.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, 2 years ago we had none.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And Roy, I think once the position of peer support worker gets to be better understood and better known, I can see other groups being interested in hiring peer support workers.
I
don't think it will just be Capital Health.
Well, and right now, it's not just Capital Health, it's going everywhere. But no, you're right. I think you're good. I think it is something that's going to grow, and it's going to grow because of its success.
One more question from online. So can you not take the certification without a previous mental health diagnosis?
No, because then you wouldn't be a peer.
Is there other ways you can help if you don't have that diagnosis? If you're a family member?
There are programs.
There are
programs for family
Yeah.
members. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I can talk about that
Yeah.
afterwards
Yeah,
too.
there are programs, for family members. So.
Is there a way that they determine who helps, who would help? Like, if there was say 6 people that needed a peer support person, is there a way they would determine who they would take? Or it would just be, I don't know.
Yeah, no, you're asking a good question, and it's something I know we're going to struggle with, because a lot of it is going to depend on how comfortable the peer supporter is working with X number of people.
Yeah.
But the other thing too is that there has to be a peer-to-peer connection with peer support is very special. And that connection has to be made. And sometimes that connection's not made. It's not the fault of anyone. It's not the fault of the peer supporter. It's not the fault of the peer. But that connection just doesn't happen. And I know personally myself, there's been a couple of times that, people have come to me for peer support, and that connection just didn't happen. So that's also going to play into it. And then the other thing is too, the peer supporter is not going to be expected to work with peers whose illness is in a very active stage. I mean, there is a small place for a peer supporter at that time, but it basically is restricted to, I have an idea of what you're going through, I've gone through something similar, and I just want you to know that I'm here for you as you're getting better, kind of thing, right? But there's no way you're going to be able to do goal setting, problem solving, so many of the different things that a peer supporter does when somebody's illness is in a very active stage. So that's going to play into it as well.
I guess I do have one last question with
Yeah.
that. At some point in the future, do you see maybe when like a psychiatrist in the team is assigned to a person with an illness, maybe one of these peer support people, being introduced in the beginning so they get to know and grow with each other? Because I know that what does benefit the illness.
Absolutely.
And that's something that is missing.
Absolutely. In parts of Quebec too, right now, Quebec and parts of Ontario, the ACT teams all have peer supporters on them.
How would the peer supporter then know for the timing to move on to a new, someone is, where's recovery? How do you define recovery? How do you define success?
Well, and of course, recovery in an individual is defined by that individual. And usually what happens in that relationship with peer support is that over time, fewer and fewer meetings because it's not necessary, but then it sort of, on its own, it gets to the point where the peer says, I'm really doing good now. So I don't think we have to meet once a month or whatever. But can I call you if I need you? And that's where it would sort of be. And to this day, I hear from people, maybe we haven't really sat down and done any peer support, but maybe it's been 6 or 8 months since I've talked to them, but they'll just call them to let you know, everything's going fine. Oh, and by the way, I was thinking about doing this, and this is how I think I should do it. Do you think that's a good idea? And that's because they've had peer support. And they've already figured out what to do, but they just want to run it by me, just to see what I think. So, yeah. It tends to run its course, but in a very natural way. And it's going to vary from person to person. And peer supporters, too, are trained to be aware of peers that start to become dependent on them, because that's the last thing we want to do. Because that is not empowering people at all. And what we're trying to do is empower people, so, yeah.
Okay, any final question?
Actually, I have,
Oh, sure, Tom, go ahead.
you said at some point you'll be hiring peer mentors to support the peer supporters?
The peer mentors will actually come from the peer supporters.
Right.
Because that'll be part of it, yeah.
What's the time frame for that to happen? I'm just curious.
Day after tomorrow? No. I don't know yet. The peer mentor is actually something else through PSAC, because there's certification in it. And so we're going to be working with them on that particular part. It will probably not be until after we get most of the positions filled and until people have had a chance to work within peer support for a period of time. Yeah. But it will be coming. It has to come. I'm only one person.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Roy.
Well, thank you for having me.
And I agree. Really, in a year and a half, you have come so far. to absolute zero. And Roy has been doing with Self-Help Connections, he's been doing peer support for years and years and years. Well, that's just solidified.
Now it's just solidified.
And it's growing, and really a lot has happened in a year and a half.
Yeah.
And I can see really good things. In another 5 years, things are going to look a lot better than now than what, with 14 positions. But it's a start. It's a start. So that's great. And
It's a start.
congratulations for all your work. Oh, don't forget to mention your conference, right?
Oh, yes. April 29th, 30th, and May 1st, which is a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the first ever National Peer Support Conference will be taking place in Canada, in Halifax. It has already become an international conference. We have people from one end of Canada to the other, which is great, but we also have people coming from Israel, New Zealand, Australia, and the United States. Don't know if there's anybody else yet. I haven't heard lately. Well, I'll hear tomorrow. All kinds of amazing workshops, including some for family members, I might point out. There's going to be a lot of great guest speakers. Patricia Deegan will be there. Romeo Dillard, the general who's now a senator, he basically said you can't have a conference unless I get to speak at it, so he's going to be there. The Mental Health Commission will be using it to officially launch their national guidelines for peer support and peer support services. A couple of other really good speakers. And on the Thursday night, we are having a big gala with entertainment, meal, speaker, the whole works, to honor the 45 people who have been trained in peer support in Nova Scotia.
Oh, yeah.
So we're really excited about it. If you're at all interested that you might want to attend, just go on the PSAC site, which is psac-canada.com, and you just go onto the link to the conference. But we're really excited because it's the first one ever in Canada, and it's going to be here in Halifax.
Will it be at the World Trade?
We're
Convention
at
Center?
the Marriott Harborside.
Okay.
Or Harbourfront, whatever it is. The one right on the water. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much,
Okay,
Roy.
great.
Excellent.
Thank you.
And that concludes our online, and I can't remember what we have on for next month. I think it might be Wendy. Could it be articles and books that we're talking about?
It could be.
It could be.
It's not.
It's not. What is it? Talk, do you have it there?
It's either Shelley Harville on cognitive remediation.
Oh, okay,
Or
yeah.
it's, this one,
Schizophrenia and cognitive remediation. Okay, good.
I'm gonna double check those
Okay.
before we,
Well, people can check the website. I'll be doing up a flyer shortly for it. Okay, we're gonna sign off for tonight, guys.
it is cognitive
Thank you.
remediation next week.
Cognitive remediation, so that should be another good one. Thanks so much, Ron.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you for allowing me to be here. I apologize that I'm going to talk and run, but I have been at work since 7 o'clock this morning and I'm tired.